All right, I want to welcome everyone to today's webinar. This is the Microdesk webinar series. My name is Megan Fulligar. I'm the marketing manager up in New York for Microdesk. And again, I'd like to welcome you all on this Wednesday. Just so you know a little bit about Microdesk, we're an Autodesk Gold, Oracle, and Google partner. We offer technology training and consulting solutions for the AEC industry. We have 12 offices nationwide, so you can reach us pretty much anywhere, and that includes 90-plus consulting specialists and software developers. A little bit about today's webinar. Autodesk Green Building Studio is a web-based energy analysis tool that can help architects and designers perform whole building analysis, optimize energy efficiency, and work towards carbon neutrality earlier in the design process. In this webinar, learn how Green Building Studio works and how to perform common tasks with the software and how to understand the energy results. Today's webinar is going to be presented by Microdesk Solution Specialist Ashley Tissue. Ashley is a BIM specialist with particular expertise in building information modeling processes and sustainable design. She's actually LEED certified as well. She provides technical support, training, implementation, and consulting services to architectural and building engineering clients looking to integrate BIM into their design process. This includes custom on-site and classroom instruction, on-site project mentoring, content creation, and model development. Just a few logistics before we begin. In order to minimize any background distractions, you are all on mute for the duration of the session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question area of the webinar toolbar to the right of your screen. Ashley will address as many questions as she can at the end of the presentation, but if we run out of time, we'll provide you with our contact information so you can follow up with us. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ashley.
Okay, thanks, Megan. Let me get this going here. All right. So my name is Ashley, and today we're going to talk about Green Building Studio and how it relates to Revit. So at the start of this webinar, I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. The first assumption is that you're all familiar with Revit. That's not to say that you know all the ins and outs of the program, but you at least have an idea that Revit is a BIM application, and that's the program we're going to use to create that information-rich model that we can then take into Green Building Studio and analyze. Or we can take it into a number of programs and analyze, but today we're going to talk about Green Building Studio specifically. The other assumption is that you don't know too much about Green Building Studio, given that you're on this webinar. So we're going to go into a little bit of what Green Building Studio is. I've got a couple PowerPoint slides, and then we're going to get into Revit and Green Building Studio. So first of all, Green Building Studio is a cloud-based energy analysis service for the AEC industry. So this is going to be online. Architects and engineers, of course, can use it. A lot of construction managers, consultants also use it. It can be used for the same projects that our Revit works with, so both new and existing projects. This is whole building analysis. So we want to make sure that we have as much information as possible in our project so that we can get more accurate results. Green Building Studio is going to help us understand energy and water use, as well as get an idea of the carbon footprint of our project. So in this respect, we can work toward things like carbon neutrality very early in the design process. We don't have to put our whole building, the exact wall construction, exact ceiling construction, all of that in right off the bat. But as our project develops and as we get more and more information in the project, we definitely want to put that in our model and in the Green Building Studio so that we can get better, more accurate results out. So we're going to be working with GBXML file format. That's what Green Building Studio uses. If you want a little trivia, GBXML stands for Green Building Extensible Markup Language. So you can impress your friends. This is a cloud computing application. So this is going to make us be able to do very rapid analysis. We can make some changes and get the results pretty quick. We can look, view, and test many different options within one project, and we'll look at that here. So we can change just a couple things and see how that affects the results. We can also compare multiple projects. If we've got a couple different project iterations that we want to test out, we can put those in there and see how they compare. We can compare things like energy use intensity, annual energy consumption, annual energy cost. So we'll see all of these, just a lot of stuff that we can really get out of this model as long as we put that information in. Just a couple of little logistics, the non-fun things. Green Building Studio is available exclusively to Autodesk subscription customers. This is a free service if you're on subscription. We can log in there at 360.autodesk.com, and we will do that here in a minute. But we can also access Green Building Studio within Revit programs. So we'll see that as well. All right, so without further ado, let's switch over to Revit. Let me bring this up. So I've got a project that I've been working with, and actually we're going to do that one next. We're going to start off with a different one first. Okay. So I've got this sample project, and I'm going to pull up the 3D view here. So I'm just going to work with this simple sample project to start off. Once I have my model, in this case I have a pretty complete model. I've got the exact wall construction, exact ceiling, all those architectural elements. They are assigned to an exact construction. So I'm going to go up here to my application menu, the big purple R up in the upper left-hand corner, down to export, and we are going to choose the GBXML. So I'll grab that. Once we do that, we get this dialog box. This is going to show us in those little blue boxes. Those are all the rooms that we have in our project. So I've got a bunch of different rooms. Revit sees those rooms as 3D objects. So I've got those in there. I've put those in there. I have some building information specified with, it's the single-family home, the location, where the ground plane is located, things like that. Just some information that I set right off the bat. If I go to the Details tab right here, and I can expand a couple of these categories. So I've got 2 levels in there that I'm working with. And right now mine is, since I did this ahead of time and I made sure everything was perfect for this webinar, I'm actually going to bring up another image here that I took when it wasn't so perfect. So this is a screenshot of when I was working with my model earlier, and I had some rooms in there, but I didn't have ceilings. These are things that are going to throw off Green Building Studio when you take the GBXML in there. You can see here I've got these little exclamation points, these little warnings right next to a couple of my rooms. That can come up when, say, you've got a room in your project, but you don't have a ceiling. It's not, that ceiling is a room-bounding object. If I don't have the ceiling in there, Revit's really not sure how tall the room is, the volume of the room. It can come up if my ceiling, if my room height is set to, say, 7 feet, but I have a ceiling in there and it's at 8 feet. So even if I have a ceiling in there, I do want to make sure that my room at least goes up to the top or to the bottom of my ceiling. So, if I had a room in there and it was set to 9 feet and my ceiling is at 8 feet, that's okay. Revit can see that. Green Building Studio is okay with that when bringing in the GBXML. So, you want to check this out. Make sure you don't have any errors there. As I said, I practiced ahead of time, so I made sure that mine was ready to go. So I don't see any of those exclamation points. So it looks like it's ready to go. So I'm going to hit Next. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, wherever I want, probably there on my desktop. And go ahead and, I did that. Let me give it just a new name just so I don't confuse it. So save that. Okay, so that's ready. So we've got that GBXML file created. Now, I'm going to switch over here to Green Building Studio. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but only have a short amount of time, and I want to get in as much information as possible. So here I am in my internet browser of choice. I've gone to 360.autodesk.com. And over here on the right-hand side, you can see I've got Autodesk Green Building Studio. I'm going to click on that. That's going to open up another tab in here. And now I'm in Green Building Studio. I've already logged in, told Autodesk I wanted to log in automatically, so it comes up automatically. You would have to log in, make sure you have your credentials in there in order to get in here. So I'm already in here. What I would do, if I want to bring that GBXML file in here, in my projects, I'm going to go over here to the right-hand side, and I'm going to say Create a New Project. Click on that. And my project name, maybe we'll call it GBS. For the building type, you want to go ahead and set that. When you do that, Green Building Studio kind of makes some assumptions as far as the energy loads and things like that in the building. So you want to be fairly accurate there as much as possible. I'm going to say single-family home, and it's a 24/7 facility. Again, Green Building Studio, which I'm going to say GBS from now on, just because Green Building Studio, saying it how many times gets to be a little bit exhausting. So this is just my test project, and I'll go ahead and hit Continue. Then it's going to want me to specify a location. I had the toughest time here a while back because it's not showing me a map. Sometimes there's a security issue with your browser. So like right up here, this page has insecure content. I'm going to say load anyway, and then I'm going to see my map pop up there. So don't beat your head against the wall for that one. It's not too difficult. So I'm just going to type in a project location here near my hometown back in Illinois. And that looks like a good address. I'm going to hit Continue. And yes, I'm authorized. I'm going to hit that, Create Project. All right, so now here's my project. GBS has created a new field for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Actions and upload that GBXML file. And I'll navigate to where I created that. Here we go. Open that up. And that looks good. Say Upload GBXML file. If there was a discrepancy with your rooms, ceilings, your rooms weren't bound, if you didn't have rooms in there, things like that, you would get a message right there. GBS would be telling you that it's not copacetic, it can't do it. You need to fix your GBXML file. But right now, everything's good, so it's uploading, and that's actually going pretty quick. So we'll go ahead and use this. All right. So now I've got my project. I'm going to go ahead and click there on the project name. And that's going to take me to another page. So now I've got a lot of information there that GBS has put out about my project. Some things about CO2, energy use over here on the left-hand side. Some things about the carbon footprint over here on the right-hand side. I can scroll down. I've got different charts that I can look at down here. I can also go back up. So I'm kind of skipping through this because I want to show you, at least give you a cursory glance at all of this because it does give you a whole bunch of information. It's kind of up to you, what you want to look at and what you want to do with it. I can look at water usage. I can go back up here near the top, look at water usage. I can change things in here. You notice things like toilets, sinks. GBS doesn't actually look at, okay, I have that many toilet objects or that many sink families, things like that. So you might actually have to go in here and make sure those are correct because it's not assured that those will be exactly correct. So it's good to go in there and check that out. But just different things that I can look at. If I decide that, now I've got that building, and I'm going to go back over here to my fun list. And let me go back into where I was. Sorry. Going to make you guys dizzy here. So I decide that, that all looks pretty good. But maybe, maybe I decide I'd like to see how that building is, if we're rotated. What would be the implications on the energy use and all that? So right here, I'm going to go to Create a Design Alternative. And this is where we can change a few things about the project, right here in our internet browser in GBS. And I don't have to go in, go back to Revit, change things, re-export, reload it back into GBS. I don't have to go through all that. I can change a couple of things right here in Green Building Studio, and it will give me the results. So right here in the middle, I'm going to select the changes. So maybe down here in the General tab, I'm going to keep this pretty simple for now. As I said, maybe I want to change the rotation of my project. I'm going to come here, maybe rotate it, say 45 degrees. Once I do that, I can see right there, it says rotation 45 degrees. So I know, it's in red, so I know that that's what I changed. And of course, you probably only want to change one or two things at a time, because you want to make sure that the things that you are changing, you want to be able to know how exactly that's going to change the factors about your project, the energy use and consumption, all of that. So I'm going to change just that one thing. So after I've made that change, I'm going to enter the alternative name. So maybe I'll just say rotated 45 degrees. I'm going to click Add Alternative. I can see that down here in the bottom. I've got that alternative there. And I'm going to hit Run Added Alternative. So it's going to think for a second. Hopefully not too long. It goes pretty quick. So you can see that spinning globe right there. It's going to think for a minute. Usually goes pretty fast. And now, once I've done that, now I'm going to have two sets of results that I can look at with regard to this one project. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. We'll come back here, go to my Run List. You notice now I have my base run of my sample project. That's the one that I brought in. And then alternate runs, I've got that rotated 45 degrees. So if I click on that, again, I've got the same information, same pieces of information that I had in that initial base run. You can see here, that's my design alternative. Again, I have those charts that I can look at down here at the bottom. But if I scroll back up, we were looking at the run list. We can also come over here to Run Charts. And here we've got even more charts that we can look at with regard to energy use, water use, carbon footprint. So you can see here that for the annual data, I've got both my rotated 45 simulation and I've got my base run. So again, lots of information that I can look at. One note of caution here, and I don't know really why they do this, but these charts down here at the bottom, you notice they all look to be the same scale. But if you notice the numbers along the y-axis, here this one goes up to 250, whereas this one here in the middle, and this one over to the right-hand side only goes to 125. So those are actually, not at the same scale, even though they all look the same. So note of caution with that. Make sure when you're looking at these charts that you are reading them accurately and you know what you're looking at. So, okay. All right. So that is, a semi-finished project. We, as I said, we had all the architectural elements in there: walls, doors, windows, ceilings, etc. But maybe we don't have all that information yet. Maybe it's early in the project, and we just want to do a simple massing model. So let's go back to Revit. And let me go over here. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Revit, and I'm going to open up another project. Close that one. And close that as well. Let me open it up here. There we go. And nope, that's not it. Okay. So I've got this massing project that I did. And I just created very simple masses. And I went into the Analyze tab, because we do have that here in Revit. I am working in 2013, so as many of you probably know, in 2013 I have not only architecture, but I've got structure and MEP all together in the same program. No longer are they three separate programs. So in this Analyze tab, you see I have structural analysis tools and MEP analysis tools. We're going to, of course, skip over all those. But I just want to show you that in the Analyze tab, over to the right-hand side, we have our energy analysis tools. So I'm going to go up to the energy settings button. We won't worry about saving right now. So in this dialog box, again, I'm going to set up some of those factors, that information that I'm going to put into the project to make sure that this is as accurate as I can get it. So I can tell the building type once again, the location, ground plane, things like that. Some of the things down here, such as target percentage glazing, I have it set to a certain percentage. Sill height, set to a certain percentage. So if you're going for those LEED credits, you want to figure out how much energy you use based on a certain glazing percentage. That's where we can set that. I can specify the type of HVAC system, if I know that. But I've done all that. Again, we're running a little short on time, so I just want to point that out. Once I've set all that energy information, I'm going to enable the energy model. So it's ready. Whoops, it was enabled. That was my basic math. Now I'm going to enable the energy model. There it is, based on the settings that I put in that dialog box. So let me click that off again. So I actually had the energy model on because I was working with this earlier. But this that you see on my screen right here, this is what I created initially. Just some masses. I put in the floors there. But that's what I created initially. And so as you can see, very simple. I don't have to have all those architectural elements in there. I just want to get an idea right off the bat. And then I'm going to enable the energy model up here. So now it's going to change based on, say, the 40% glazing that I put in, the 2'6" sill height, things like that. Then I'm going to hit the Run Energy Simulation. And this wasn't working earlier. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with my connection, but luckily I've already done this. I'm going to switch back over to Green Building Studio. I'm going to go back up to my projects. And right here, this is the project. That's what I used earlier. Or I brought this in earlier. So when using massing, we can use those tools in the Analyze tab. We can just use those and directly put it in the Green Building Studio. If you don't have a massing model, if you have all those architectural elements in, you do have to export it as a GBXML into Green Building Studio. So as you can see, it still gives me the same information, the same types of information, but it's based on the different information that I've given it. So again, the more accurate information you can put in, the more accurate information you'll get out. Now one last note here, because many of you might work with Vasari. I know this webinar is not meant to talk about Vasari, but I want to mention it because it is a really great tool and it's very much related to Revit. I'm going to switch over to Vasari here real quick. Just scroll through. So here's that massing model in Vasari. So Vasari is like a pared down version of Revit. It's more meant for massing studies and analysis that way. So it's not meant to put in all those architectural elements. But you can see in Vasari, I've got the Analyze tab, and I've got those same buttons. Dictating the energy settings, enabling that energy model, doing that analysis. The only difference between the analysis tools in Revit and those in Vasari, where I am now, is in Vasari they also have solar radiation tools that you can look at. So really cool to play with. Those aren't in Revit, unfortunately. So if you ever get a chance to work with Vasari, try it out, especially if you're familiar with Revit. I think you'll find Vasari pretty easy to work with. So just a note on that. So with that, I think I will turn it back over to Megan and see if there are any questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Ashley. At this point, we'll be accepting any questions you may have. So if you have any that you're dying to know at this moment, you can type them into the webinar toolbar under questions. Just give you guys a second. All right. Looks like we have one for you, Ashley. Do I have to have my entire project model before I put it into Green Building Studio?
No, no, you don't. I mentioned, I put in that first model. Maybe that was a little bit deceptive, but I put in that first model. It did have all the walls and windows and doors. It was a pretty complete project, but there at the end I showed you could put in just masses. Maybe you're just trying to test out, see how the sun would hit things, or maybe different window arrangements, how that would affect energy usage. You can definitely just put in a massing model. So again, the information you put into Green Building Studio is going to dictate how much information you get out. So you can put in as little information as you would like. You can put in as much information as you would like. But you don't have to use a complete project to use Green Building Studio.
Well, it looks like that's it for today. If you do have any questions for Ashley or anyone at the Microdesk team, you can email them to webinars@microdesk.com. One last thing, I have to mention Microdesk's new BIM for Lead distance learning series, providing the skills that you need to achieve your sustainable design objectives. Following the LEED rating system criteria for new construction and major renovations, this online training program helps students quickly gain an understanding of how to combine the latest BIM design tools like Autodesk Revit with the latest design strategies, calculations, and techniques to achieve credits in each of the LEED categories. So if you want to learn more about how to achieve LEED with BIM, this new distance learning path is for you. And so I'd recommend that you check it out. The website's on the screen here. That's www.microdesk.com/BIM for LEED. If you have any other questions or you'd like to learn about any of Microdesk's other educational opportunities, we do classroom training. We go in and discuss with our clients. We do mentoring. We have new distance learning courses. Lots and lots of options. So if you want to get started, you just visit us at www.microdesk.com. I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. Glad you could attend, and stay tuned for next month. Thank you.